Well, hey everybody, glad you're here today. We got another special opinion piece for you today. Obviously, we have opinions about everything, but spoke about this in the last video. We thought that there was a lot of cartoon to live action shows that shouldn't have happened, even though a lot of them turned out really well, and we liked some of them to a certain extent. Here's a list of ones that we would actually like to see happen. Some that we get really excited about, others that maybe just kind of in the back of our minds, afterthoughts, but if they're going to be going down this road and doing this a lot more, since there's so much remade and redone, I'm not going to say garbage out there, but redundant movies, here's some food for thought for you. So if you like our idea on this, you can have this one for free. And if nothing else, these are always just to get your juices flowing, just to get you thinking about this kind of stuff, because I think there's a lot of genres, a lot of movies out there that are overlooked, a lot of good ideas out there that could happen, that we should see happen, since we are just willing to throw ridiculous budgets at some of these. Why not some of these good ideas? With me, as always, is RSMK.
Hello.
And for our 10 list of the day, not always our top 10, let's
10.
just dig right in here. Starting off, we have Space Ghost. As some of you might know, Space Ghost Coast to Coast, but the original show, Space Ghost, we thought would just be a great idea because it's got a great comedic value to it, and as a personal favorite and someone we like to see in that role as Space Ghost, we like to see Chris Pratt don that cowl, because I think he's got a good chin for it. I think he's got not only he's got some good range, because obviously he can make anything funny, but I think that he would add a certain spice to this character that would just make it that much more interesting.
He's already been in space, and he's already been funny in space, and I just feel like any kind of space adventure in this day and age, if it was popular or at least an interesting story back in the day, they can do it again, especially because it's a cartoon form. Yeah. And Chris Pratt would totally pull it off as long as he was okay with wearing a cowl the entire time.
I think we dinged a good idea there. As you
Yeah.
can see, it just came out of nowhere.
Bing.
So we're happy to have that input.
Thanks. Woo!
Nailed it.
Yes.
All right.
Awesome.
I would be interested to see who they would choose for Brack. I think that he's a pretty funny side note character, mostly from this Coast to Coast show. But
a lot of those characters in Coast to Coast were, they just took this and made everybody funny and turned it into a talk show. I just thought if you can combine that with the original story and the original plot with all the special effects that we have now, it might be a really entertaining movie. Very much like a Shazam-ish superhero flick, only in space.
Only in space. A little less Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, not that Shazam. Wrong Shazam. I'm talking about the modern one with the superhero, which worked well because I didn't care at all about him originally.
Yeah.
So
no, I think he did a good job of that, because he was originally in another TV series, An Unwitting Spy or something like that, where he's actually a grocery store clerk.
The actor?
The actor, yeah.
I just knew he was in the reboot of Heroes that didn't do well.
Ah, yes. Sore subject, different video.
That's okay. The first season, great. Just forget about everything else.
Next up is another personal favorite of ours. I wouldn't have known much about or given it a whole lot of time if it wasn't for you, actually.
Oh, really? I introduced him. I didn't know it.
Yeah. What did you know?
But it came out a long time ago on the Adult Swim, when Adult Swim was still kind of young, and I was just becoming an adult. Yeah. And it's called Venture Bros, or Venture Brothers.
Bros, the brothers adventure.
Yeah. So it's kind of a Johnny Quest knockoff.
Oh yeah.
And very funny. The guy that created it seems to really enjoy David Bowie quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, he wouldn't be able to show up in a movie, but maybe he could throw his music in there. That'd be pretty cool. But I'm thinking, since we really enjoyed Patrick Warburton from The Tick. I enjoyed him from way back in the Seinfeld years. So I've known him for a while, and then when he did The Tick, I love The Tick cartoon.
I'm curious if you ever asked the Magic 8 Ball what he thought about, if he'd ever voice over a curly-headed mullet.
But
super dude.
There's plenty of guys that look the part for Brock, but they wouldn't be the same. So why not just
wouldn't quite have the personality?
And it's not like Patrick Warburton's short or anything.
No.
You can find some short actors to play like Dr. Venture, and
he's getting slightly older now, but not far enough that it'd be out of the question. So, as again, it's a good idea. Let's get the ball rolling on this before some of our ideas get too far out there, too long in the tooth.
And we were thinking maybe like the Macaulay Culkin and his brother would play pretty good brothers for this.
Yeah. Macaulay
one's
and
blonde,
Culkin,
one's brunette.
Yeah. They both still look young enough they could play the part. It wouldn't be too off-putting,
And the characters. Because at this point, let's just bring the story forward into a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Because I mean, I think it's losing luster in the show actually right now.
Yeah.
The first 4 seasons, terrific.
Like so many good things, they do
Right.
kind of start off really great, but then they start to run their course too early, and that's where they realize that, oops, we've let this go on a little too long. They
Yeah.
could. Some shows can keep on going as long as they keep the writing good, but they get stagnant after a while, and
Right.
they gotta change it up a little bit, and that's not always for the better.
I say 4 seasons is probably your best bet.
Yeah,
Most
4 to
shows.
5 seasons is always good for any worthwhile TV show if you're going to go that route with
Yeah.
it. But if we're going to go straight to live action movie, at least you can kind of get all out of the way in the first
Actually,
run, and it'd be good.
what's funny about a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about here, a lot of these shows are very short-lived, but they're
Yeah.
really awesome, and I think that's probably part of the reason why they're awesome because we just got enough of it, but we wanted a little bit more, and we think they would be really good for live action.
A few things that just weren't done yet. Keep going. Keep
Like
going.
this one was really good, and it got canceled and came back. Is Futurama.
Ah, yes.
Futurama's
Matt
terrific.
Groening, genius.
Yes, terrific, funny
Unfortunately,
stuff.
Simpsons have gone a little bit too long for a while there, and then they probably brought it back a little bit with some recent stuff,
Yeah.
but not really been able
I
to
don't
keep me
need to
interested the
see-
whole way through.
So you have 20+ seasons. I don't need to see a live action Simpsons.
No.
But I would like to see Futurama live action because they're more humanistic looking, being not
Mhm.
yellowed skin and all, and it's futuristic. And we're all about CGI these days and special effects in space.
You can do a lot more with a slapstick angle from that with all of our
Exactly.
CG capabilities these days, and it would just be funny to see that person kind of come to life. And as a possibility of who we'd like to see in that role, not necessarily because of a lot of good specific reasons, just because I think if he could somehow draw from what he was back in the day with
Pull it back.
Nickelodeon, pull it back a little bit,
back.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
I think that you would do a good job as Fry. If you could just put the political aspect aside for a while and some of the
Reel it in.
weird stuff that you're doing now, you could kind of get back to your roots, and we'd like to see you do that
Yeah.
again. You showed some signs of it carrying through in the first Transformers, and then you lost it somewhere.
Well,
So we'd like to see you bring that back a little bit because
Yeah.
Even Stevens was, in my opinion, so far still your best work.
Yeah, and we had a lot of different ideas for other characters. Leela, I think we were just saying Scarlett Johansson would be pretty good with that. But
Mhm.
it's funny about a lot of these are probably going to be very MCU oriented when
Right.
it comes to casting. So
And they're not going to necessarily agree with us as far as making all these big budgets. We're not going to get a lot of these names we'd like
Right,
to see happen with it
probably.
if they were to go with it. But we're just, again, food for thought for all of you Hollywood people that we know are out there listening to us and watching our videos specifically,
Yes.
liking, subscribing, and commenting.
or just listening to our
you
cell
know.
phones,
Yeah.
whichever works.
Mhm.
So the next one on the list is something we watched recently, and it was very short but sweet
Yes.
as a show.
Yes.
Is
Wrapped up nice and tightly
oh.
in a big bow. It was just so perfect.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't mind the fact that they're going to kind of revisit it again and see. I'm interested to see where they're going to go with
well,
it.
now that
But
we have Disney Plus.
yeah, to see Star Wars Rebels come back come into its own in live action.
Yeah. So we have some live action characters showing up here in The Mandalorian, maybe, and that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And having live action version of this action and this show would be so much cooler. I mean, it's already a good show, CGI animated. But it's a pretty good
Stands
show.
on its own for
Yeah.
sure, especially starting off as being a more of a kid-oriented show.
Yeah.
It definitely grew up through the seasons, and I think that it's become something a little bit more notable and more substantial. So.
Right. And I don't know exactly who would play these roles, so to
Yeah,
speak.
this
but-
one's kind of left up in the air a little bit. I think this show would actually do well from a bunch of unknowns.
Mhm.
People that kind of come out of nowhere and might explode into fame because of this. Who
Yeah.
knows? But at least kind of see who they could kind of bring out from some obscure places and turn them into these characters. I think
Right.
that work out really well because this is another one that you could definitely go ridiculous with and totally MCU it and just
Yeah.
nothing but big names and
Nah.
bold action, whatever.
Maybe
and
like
you could lose its integrity pretty quick.
Maybe some like C-list actors that haven't really been doing a whole lot, and you're like haven't really seen him in something since like a
Mhm.
Nickelodeon show, and you're like, wait a second, this guy's actually a pretty decent actor.
Hmm.
He's playing this role. It's still kid friendly.
Yeah, especially
And-
if you could pull somebody out of a genre that has nothing to do with this one and surprise us because they can suddenly turn
Right.
serious. Or,
Yeah, I'm just in my mind. I'm thinking about all these like Nickelodeon type shows,
Yeah.
Disney type shows that they had. That that generation of people probably would relate to this a lot more, and it'd be a lot cooler for their characters, actors, or whatever, to push forward into action comedy, action family, whatever.
And Ezra really embodies what I think a lot of us assume a Jedi actually is compared to what we've gotten in some of the movies. It would be nice to see them actually play that up a little
the fear,
bit.
the fear that his action would not be as action packed as the fear we, you see in the actual show. Like, oh, he's not going to do a backflip. He's just going to stand there and.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's jousting. What?
This is not fencing. This is,
But it's how it was originally. I understand that. But he is
Mhm.
such a total awesome, Jedi in this.
so
in the
many
show,
great moments.
But he's
yes,
a CGI.
which is why
character.
he still ranks as my second favorite Jedi of all time. But
Yeah. That being said, Next one on the list is one of my favorites as a kid. He may not like it as much or not watched as much of it.
Not as many episodes, but it's so relevant in pop culture that
Right.
I've known a lot about it through osmosis, so just kind of being
Osmosis
around it.
Jones.
Yeah.
No, that's not what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
So it's another not Adult Swim. I don't think it might have been Adult Swim. It was around the same kind of time as like Dexter's Lab, and that's not on this list.
Yeah.
Is,
you can correct us if we're wrong on this, by the way. That's
yeah.
perfectly all right.
Powerpuff Girls. I
It's
think
Cartoon Network.
Was it Cartoon
I know it's
Network?
Cartoon Network, but I'm not sure if it was Adult
Specifically
Swim.
Cartoon Network.
Just a
Okay.
Cartoon Network thing. Okay.
It's good to get the opinion, pull the audience once in a while.
Yeah. So
We have a
Powerpuff.
larger audience out there today, by
Yeah.
the way, so it's nice to have some people back there being able to bounce this kind of stuff off of, and hopefully if they do something funny enough that it cracks them up, it'd be nice to get their feedback on that as
Chuckle
well.
chuckle. So Powerpuff Girls.
Haven't had a chance to get the giggles out yet, so it's still to come possibly.
Powerpuff Girls is one of those, you could have them as children like they were in the cartoon, or you can have them all the way up to young adults.
Mhm.
And I think it would work regardless. And we just...
Yeah. Some of our honorable mentions for these
Well,
roles
we were
are
spitballing.
definitely still considered young adults, even though in terms of actual years, they're getting a little long in the tooth for
They're
this kind of stuff.
a bit long
But
in the tooth.
I think it'd just be funny to see these three together because I don't know that they would actually get along in
Oh,
real life.
the
I think
drama would be great.
The drama
but
would be great. Probably behind the scenes would be more interesting to
Yeah.
look at. But I can't even think of all the Powerpuff Girls names off the top of my head,
Oh.
other than Bubbles. We just spoke of her recently.
Bubbles, Blossom, and Buttercup.
Bubbles, Blossom, Buttercup. Okay, so for the three Bs, we would like to see Lindsay Lohan, Paris Hilton, and Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
See if we can suddenly get. I know Kardashian and Paris Hilton used to be friends at some point, whatever. Probably more frenemies than anything,
Oh.
but just to see the three of them try and pull this off would probably be more entertaining just from that aspect alone. You'd probably lose sight of who the Powerpuff Girls and some of the other side characters are, just because you're fascinated to see this thing
Yeah.
actually work and not just completely implode on itself.
I mean, there's obviously two different ways you can go about it. You can do like an actual, like, not serious, because none of it's serious, it's
No,
funny.
no.
But you could do like a version of their just total, BA, young women with superpowers. Or you could do these older women with super drama,
Yeah.
version of it. That would be pretty funny.
Two ways you can go with
It'd be
that.
like
and I
Mean
think both would be
Girls.
entertaining.
Why do they have to sleep in the same bed still? I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's Hollywood.
Yeah, no, but I still think it would be really entertaining, especially if you got all the CGI and all these superhero movies. It'd be kind of an off color, and it'd be kind of a funny family flick, I suppose.
Worthwhile
Too.
off color, yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to go full blown with it to where it actually gets
Well, none of these
grotesque
are-
in a lot of ways.
Yeah, none of these are.
very bad things. No. But
They're all PG-13 anyway.
Mhm.
At the hardest 13.
Yeah.
Next one on the list is something I
You'd
grew
avoid
up-
all the f bombs at least. We
Yeah.
can try and keep it within
You
that
could
realm.
throw
Even though
one
they
in
allow
there.
you one.
You could throw one, yeah. But the next one on the list is one I grew up with watching originally, and then they did a reboot of it.
Yeah.
A reboot.
That wasn't
It
terrible.
wasn't bad at all, and it's Johnny Quest, which is kind of a throwback to
we
the
can't
Venture Brothers.
we can't
a little
mention the Venture Brothers without mentioning Johnny
bit.
Quest.
Yeah, because Johnny Quest is the original
Yeah.
Hanna-Barbera or whatever time in the 1960s, and you can do a 1960s version, or you just have them slightly older. Like they kind of made them older, and they made them in the 90s, and they made them more of the 1990s style.
Late teens for
Yeah.
Reggie and Johnny.
And that was fine too. I actually appreciated that. And you could
Mhm.
even do the 20s if you wanted to. And we were thinking maybe like Zac Efron or something could play Johnny.
Yeah.
And that would take Johnny to the next level.
Yeah.
He'd be on a new level.
the whole new level.
You know.
I mean, if nothing else, he'd be ripped. So
Yeah.
he's got that going.
And then, I've seen some fan casting that had like, Ewan McGregor as Benton,
That'd be
you
good.
know.
That'd
And then
be
maybe
good.
like Jim Caviezel as Race Bannon. I don't know. That would,
Mhm.
there's so many options at this point, and it'd be so cool to see
But it'd
that.
still be an interesting casting to see all three of them actually work together in a movie. So I mean,
And
just for
that's
that fact alone, just to kind of get some of these obscure people that you think would probably work well together, but
Yeah.
you never thought about it, so to actually see them together on a movie, you might go, I'd be curious.
I mean, with all the James Bond movies kind of doing this number, why not
Yeah.
try to bring in a new age of that kind of spy,
Spy, espionage, kind of
Ish.
action adventure.
and he doesn't have to be like a dumb kid.
No.
I wouldn't mind seeing him as a dumb kid in the '60s. It'd be kind of entertaining, but yeah, I mean, he can still be kind of dumb. Zac Efron plays dumb pretty well
Mhm.
at times, with the neighbors and such. But
Yeah, he's more than just a pretty face. He's got a little bit. He's got a little bit more going on there than we've seen.
I know, and
He's
that's why I don't
surprised me.
mind it. Maybe that would work
Yeah.
really well. I don't know.
Good on you for moving past your High School Musical days because I didn't give you any credit outside of that.
No.
So to see you actually become an actor now in a lot of ways is good on you.
Yeah, but I think that works really well.
Even though I think you missed your true calling as an Abercrombie and Fitch model, we'll just
Especially now.
Thanks, neighbors.
I didn't even know that thing still existed. That is a store, right?
It is a store, yeah. And I think they do put shirtless models out in front there
Okay.
just to kind of. I don't even think. I mean, they're probably required to wear the jeans, but I mean, other than that, that's like your only
Yeah.
requirement of it is just to stand there and look pretty. And Welcome to Abercrombie.
I just can't spend $100 on torn jeans when I already have torn jeans that I
On the cheap end, yeah. Good grief. You ever been to Buckle recently? Side note.
Yeah.
But
But anyway, so the next one on our list is Mobile Armored Strike Command.
But command with a K, and we didn't even know that just till recently because we watched a couple of the episodes as we were kids. It's got an awesome intro song.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, because we can make a whole list up just off of awesome intro songs alone.
That
but
might be a list.
this would be a great one because you could put together a lot of action stars. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we've had the Expendables before, so you could probably bring in some aging, some
But
you
the
know
show-
newer, whatever, and kind of get the mix going on there.
But the show is called Mask.
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 Yes.
Crusaders working overtime,
Fighting crime.
So, I think the real thing is the vehicles. Those
Transforming
armored
vehicles
strike
that
mobile-
weren't total transformers, that
Yeah.
didn't have a mind of their own. They were
No.
actually piloted by the main characters, but a lot of them are really cool.
It's like mine's a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Push a button, it's a helicopter. And I have to wear a mask because this show's called Mask.
Mhm.
It just makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Just being mobile, having cool vehicles, having great CGI, plenty of action, a little bit of, you know,
Camp.
acting and some camp to it as well. Yes.
There's
but-
the little boy that rides around on his robot that turns into like a one-wheeled motorcycle,
Mhm.
which is really goofy, and they can make that really cool.
Yeah, it's the only robot that actually had a personality out of all of them. The rest
Yeah.
were just kind of inanimate, transforming objects. So.
And I guess it wouldn't really matter if it was in the future, if it was right now. Because
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it could work right now if you have a transforming vehicle that turns into a car that turns into a boat, whatever.
Yeah, you can have a lot of artistic freedom in a show
Yeah.
like that with the actors and with the plot and with the vehicles. You could change a lot of them around. We're not going to be so specific to say,
Yeah.
wait, hold on a second here. We didn't have a motorcycle that changed into a helicopter. This is not
Well,
right.
There's
No,
only
but
so many characters in the show to begin with. You know, you
Mhm.
have a few on one side, a few on the other side.
In a lot of ways, the vehicles actually overshadow the people in there because can you? I don't know if I can name one main character in that yet, but
But the toys, the people were like this big.
mm,
All right, the toys were the vehicles.
yeah, did
So
actually
let's-
have a couple of toys as a kid.
I did.
Pretty
I had a
awesome.
few as well, and they were
Yeah.
pretty excellent. So anyway, I'm sure you have an opinion on this story, this next one.
Well, it's interesting because they've tried to do it a couple of times. They've tried to reinvent it. They tried to think about it. They thought, hey, let's get a good fan casting going. Let's get some money built up for it, and let's
Yeah.
try and announce it. And we thought for a while there we've had I think at least 3 attempts at Thundercats,
Ho!
but none of them ever came to fruition. And I
Yeah.
think because for some reason a lot of people kind of coincide He-Man along with Thundercats, and I don't exactly
the
know
same
why. Not the same thing, but they've
Silverhawks, on the
always
other
tried
hand.
to throw a little bit of a homoerotic aspect in there somewhere for no good reason. Don't know why. So if we could bring it back to the actual TV show, the characters, and what Thundercats were, I think that would be a great live action. I think that we could have a pretty cool cast in there. I do like that we throw in a special mention for Terry Crews in there
Yeah.
as Panthra, so that would be pretty
Panthra.
great. And he's just awesome. I like to see Terry Crews with
And
more
why not
stuff.
have Chris Hemsworth and his brother Liam play like Lion-O
Why
and
not?
Tigra?
Yeah.
You know, and we just throw some awesome, like, you know, Jennifer Lawrence is Chitara.
Yeah,
You know?
that'd be good. I don't know who we get to play Snarf, but you know,
Oh, Snarf.
maybe
Doesn't really
another
matter.
maybe another mention for Shia LaBeouf in there. I
You
don't
know,
think it'd be funny again.
How
but-
about Warwick Davis?
hey?
Hey.
Yeah, there you go.
Snarf,
All right.
Snarf.
Mark Davis Snarf.
Yeah. And a couple of, you know, teenagers, you know, playing the Wily Kit and Wily Cat.
Mhm.
And then, you know, you have somebody like Ian McKellen, you know, playing
Hmm.
a bad guy that I can't think of his name right now for some reason. Why can't I think of his name? Mumra. Sorry.
Good grief.
It's early
Simultaneous dual brain fart. All right.
Mumra. Because I don't even remember what he was
Yeah.
actually called.
So moving on to our second to last. Second to last, not because it's not the best by any means, but we've got a special place in our heart for this one because we both like anime. We both like this particular one because it put a very cool, almost country western tinge to it, but with great music and
Jazz.
just a good noir kind of filming style, which
Yeah.
could translate so well into our CGI world. And of course, it brings up a good mention of who we'd like to have play
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop. But
Cowboy Bebop.
to actually play Spike in this, I think would actually be great to see Keanu Reeves. I think he can do a lot of stuff in a lot of
Yeah.
movies lately. He's still method. He's still not exactly somebody who's got lots of range, in my opinion. But,
But if
he's
he
just such a
plays-
freaking likable actor
But
in
if he-
so many things that he does that I think he would work out really well as Spike in this. And then there could be other great things for it. But CGI, I think, would do well to have Einstein as a CGI Corgi. That's something that I would allow them to have, and I think would be okay with.
I'll allow it.
I'll allow it. But
Yeah.
such a great, and also just speaks to the fact that you can get so much done in one season that you don't need to just sit there and take one great story and draw it out to 10 or 15 seasons.
Yeah.
That's just it just ruins the story, in my opinion. It just whittles it down, makes it get old after a while. You leave the audience kind of going, okay, can we move on? Okay, can we move on?
One season, and a movie that didn't make a whole lot of sense with the show,
Now,
but that one season.
still a good movie on its own. I really put the two separate from each other.
You have to, because it's not this part of the same story.
Hmm.
Oh,
But to see those characters come to life, I think it would be pretty awesome if they could film it in a similar way.
I was just trying to think of
good,
yeah.
good kung fu in there. I mean, yeah, whoa.
If it was done in the same style, and it was done with the CGI that we have today, but didn't focus mainly on the CGI, because I don't think the story was about the CGI or the space whatever stuff that was going on, space action,
Space bounty hunters.
yeah, space bounty hunters. And we tried space bounty hunter shows like on Sci-Fi recently that just
Yeah, I think
aren't
so.
quite there. And there might be. Yeah, I mean, we have pretty good CGI TV shows too, but I'm
We've
not
already
asking
seen what
for
they've
that.
done with a show like Altered Carbon, which I thought was pretty good on its own. I thought it kind of had a similar feel to it. So we already know that there's a possibility of making it filmed in a similar way with the same colors and all that.
Right.
But I think it would just be, I think it would be great. I want to see it.
I don't necessarily see it as a show again either.
Yeah, I'd be perfectly okay with just a one-off movie. That'd be
Yeah.
fine. We don't need trilogies anymore, guys. We've already kind of worn those out a little bit. Let's just make a good standalone story on its own. Doesn't need to be 2.5 hours long. Back in the day, we had great stories that were a fun ride, adventurous, with good characters for 89 minutes, and we got away with it,
Yeah.
and that's all we needed. And we liked it!
Yeah, you could do a Cowboy Bebop trilogy out of the first season, basically.
I wouldn't hate it as long as you did the first one right, and you didn't wait 7 years and a few actors
Yeah.
to die off before you did it again.
Maybe you just do all three like in a row, like they did with the Greatest Adventure.
Well, I said they did a better job with Lord of the Rings, in my
I
opinion.
know,
But yeah.
I'm just saying that they did all the filming back to back to back.
Right.
I wasn't saying that the Hobbit.
Yeah, a
was-
good trilogy these days, if you want good continuity, same actors, all looking the same, not going off and
Yeah.
getting into drugs and alcohol too heavily, then yeah, just back to back those movies.
Just get that over with, you know.
Mhm. Which brings us
Ed, you know, he would.
well,
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
you don't want
So-
like Ed to be starting off at like 10 years old and end the series at 18.
Yeah,
And you have,
exactly. That's just weird. Because, of course, you get child actors that start off either mediocre or okay, and then you have to worry about them going through adolescence and their tweens and all of that, and then suddenly they just, who the heck are you and where'd you come from and why are you
Right.
still in the show?
Where'd you go? Where'd
Carl.
you come from?
Moving forward to our number one, and I think
Wow.
we could actually call this our number one.
It
It's not
kind of
top
is.
10, but it's still near and dear to our hearts because as we said before, the Flintstones, although we didn't need it,
Yeah.
why the heck did we get a live action out of it?
It worked.
It worked. It was really good. It was very correct in a lot of ways. It
Yeah.
looked appealing as a Flintstones to live action
Yeah.
situation that we want to see happen again. And we wonder why they've never done it. They had a shoe-in for it. It was a great opening. We've already done the Flintstones. Why did we not move directly to the Jetsons?
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes total sense.
You don't need him to meet the Flintstones.
We've already had a Jetsons
Just-
movie.
yeah.
Yeah, sure, but I think it just would have worked out really good to even be a show or a good live-action film because, as of course we'd like to see, as Mr. Sprocket,
Yeah, Stanley Sprocket.
Sprocket, Dan DeVito. I mean, come
Dan
on, people.
DeVito.
Even now, he's still made for that role.
Yeah, still, it doesn't matter how old he
Yeah.
is at this point. And, you know, you could make it a TV show, and it would be fine, too.
Mhm.
It'd be a lot like watching Modern Family in the air.
Yeah.
Because we'd have the guy from Modern Family play
I
George.
can't think of the actor's
That
name yet.
guy.
That guy.
That
would be
dude.
a good George. Yes.
He's a good George. And I was thinking
He's
just,
funny. He's lovable. He's a doofus. I mean, yeah.
just a nudge, grin, because, you know, she hasn't done in a while this kind of style, but I think she'd be really good at it, is Jennifer Aniston
As Jane.
as Jane.
Yeah.
His
that'd be
wife.
Good.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay.
Mhm.
And then maybe like the robot that I can't think of her name right now off the top of my head.
I thought her name was Betty.
No, because I wanted Betty White to play her.
Maybe that's why it's sticking in my head. Poll the audience.
Yeah. Could we just
I see camera lady on it.
what's that robot's name?
Mrs. Spacely?
No, this is
That's not-
Spacely.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to scroll through. I'm
Spacely,
trying.
Spacely's bro, yeah.
It's the robot. It's the.
It doesn't have.
What?
It's a thought. It's there.
It's a thought
Heard
that
it before,
counts.
and then it just. My hard drive is not as up to date as hers. You know, she'd remember off the bat. She's just good about that. Not just a maid. She's intelligent as well. But
Rosie the robot.
Rosie. I thought it was like Rosie. She got a whole
I
lot
knew
of
it ended in a
Rosie.
Y. So
All right,
close.
so I think that Rosie the robot
Yeah.
maid would be really cool if she's played by somebody like Betty White.
Voiced by Betty White.
Right,
Because
obviously
yet
she's not gonna
again,
be a robot.
with all these live action, I'm okay with you putting in a CGI character as long as it's one character
But you
and
don't
it
have
makes
to.
sense because it's the inanimate object or the animal or
But yeah, you don't have to
the
make
talking
either.
computer.
The
in
dog
car or
doesn't
whatever,
really
you know.
talk. He does interact. But he's not
Right.
Scooby Doo.
No.
So you could have him be a real dog, and it'd be fine because he's not the main character.
Yep.
And
There's plenty of well-trained dogs out there, and it'd be a lot better off
Yeah.
making that live action. But I'd still be okay with Rosie being CGI, or you could still put her in a
Animatronic.
costume, animatronic, whatever.
yeah,
but
that'd be fine with me.
then you don't have to worry about Betty White actually showing up on stage
Yeah,
because
just-
she's getting up there, even though she's gonna outlast us all.
Put her in her
Uh,
studio and let her talk. It'd be fun.
Mhm, it'd be
Have
great.
all these quips from Golden Girls age. It'd be great. Yeah, and then I just think obviously we're in this point where everything's CGI, and you wouldn't have to be totally CGI, but this thing is so easy to do right now
Mhm.
because of all the technological advances that we have.
Yeah.
It
Speaking of technology.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to have that be done right now. I mean, why not?
Why not?
Why the heck?
The
not?
TV show was out long enough ago that it would make sense to kind of dredge up something from the past,
And it's
because
supposed to be the
Hollywood loves to
future.
do that. They like remakes. They like bringing out old stuff and making it new
Yeah.
again because they're not creative enough to think
Well,
of
look
things
at-
on their own anymore.
look at
So hey, we're giving you
Tomorrowland.
again food for thought here. Plenty of things that
Yeah.
could actually happen that I would like to see happen, and it just makes sense to do it. So you've already gone down this vein before. You might as well continue along with
Yeah,
it with
these-
some things that we actually all want as opposed to out of left
These
field.
aren't really hard to do.
No.
These are pretty understandable. If you could do like 1, 2, 3 of them, I'd be fine with that.
As of April 8, 2019, an article says that ABC has ordered a live action adaptation of The Jetsons.
No kidding.
That's what it says. Producer Robert Zemeckis.
Zemeckis?
Yeah.
Zemeckis.
And no real timeline
Or
on that,
Andy
but that's an
Hmm.
article from
He would've been
TV
good.
Web, so I don't know.
What was the
how-
date on that article out of curiosity?
2019. April.
2019? April?
April.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's a
So
little
it
while
might be-
ago.
Well, it was a
couple
little while
years.
ago. Otherwise, kind of like, with me calling, we picked out Ben Affleck for the Batman, so, or I shouldn't say the Batman. People get hung up on that all the time. I'm not talking about the new one coming out. When I'm saying the Batman, I'm talking about Batman.
Yeah. No.
We called it. We said it was going to happen. We both sat and actually made up our own top 10 list. And guess what? The next day was announced. Ben Affleck
Well, it's the
was
same-
Batman.
Same
so.
thing with Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
Yeah.
I called that crap.
In other words,
but
we know you're listening. We know you're stealing our ideas, but it's okay. We're actually giving them to you now
Sounds
with
like-
copyright approval.
as long as you give us
it's
views,
all right.
we're cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just give us some views. It'd be
Yeah.
nice.
We're okay with all that. We don't mind giving out these ideas because
Yeah.
guess what? It just makes for better viewership. It makes for better movies. It makes for more ideas for us to give you better opinions on what we think about this kind of stuff because we know you're just so enthralled and engrossed and waiting for each new one.
Woo!
So yeah.
Right there. You're
So
just waiting on the tip
there's
here.
10 of the ideas that we have of what would be good cartoons to live action that we think should happen. Good to know that one of them's already in the works, although we've
Maybe.
heard that a couple of times with Thundercats. So fingers
Yeah.
crossed. We've given you a good cast to work off of now, so you may take it and run. Fly, little birdie. That's yours. You can have it. So, as always, we like the fact that you came and you enjoyed and that you listened and that you've laughed and hopefully all those actually happen and it's
Yeah.
not just a pipe dream in my head. We're
Doesn't
gonna
matter.
be,
I see a camera. It's
yeah.
laughing.
Exactly.
I can see
Yeah,
it.
we can see it chuckling
Yeah.
back and forth. It's amazingly still for having such a good belly laugh going on in their camera. Well
Full
done.
legit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But we're going to roll the end title screen so you know exactly what to do. We're not going to ask for all that because it's redundant and you all know how to do it anyways. So with all that, we hope that we gave you some more food for thought, some entertainment, a few chuckles. But we're always glad to be here. Always glad that you guys showed up, and we'll see
Always.
you on the next one.
Goodbye.